God damn, Square ticker symbol SQ has been on an absolute rampage since March of this year. Since then, the stock has almost tripled from hitting a low of just $32 a share to now being almost $90 a share. Damn! So what in the world is going on? And more importantly, will it continue rising? And should you be buying some Square stock right now? So if you've been following my channel for a while, you likely already know that I've been very bullish on Square for many months now, and I always put my money where my mouth is. So it goes without having to say that before investing that kind of money into Square, I personally have done a whole lot of research. And in this video, I'm going to do a deep dive and summarize all of my most important findings, many of which I don't hear being talked about often on YouTube at all. And I will also be going into extreme amount of detail as to why I have such a strong level of conviction that this is just the beginning for Square, and why I think there is a very good chance that Square will more than 3 to 5x over the next couple of years. And I'll even be covering exactly when I think the optimal point for you to buy into this stock will be. So you're not going to want to miss this one. And as with all my videos, I'm not going to only cover the positives, but also will be going over some of the risk associated with this stock so that you have a more complete picture instead of just one side of the equation. Now, these videos do take me a long time to make, and I really do put my heart and soul into making them as entertaining and informative as possible for you guys. So I'd really appreciate an early thumbs up, as it really does help the channel grow and gets the video shown to more people. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Now, Square is a technology company founded by Jack Dorsey, who is also the founder of Twitter, and they have lofty ambitions of dismantling and essentially making obsolete the dinosaur of an industry that is the banking industry. Now, this sector has been absolutely robbed of any significant innovations over the past couple of decades, and in fact, most of their gains and practices are largely based on nickeling and diming their customers for even the most basic of financial services, such as offering them a place to store their money safely. So bam! Here comes Square out of nowhere, ready to kick some ass and take some names.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
And they're doing this by lowering the cost of delivering financial services to customers and businesses, while also improving those services through technology and innovation. Now, ironically enough, this is actually the same vision that Elon Musk had for PayPal almost 2 decades ago, but he was not able to get the board on the same page as him. And in large part, due to this disagreement between them on the strategy and vision for the company going forward, the board essentially kicked Elon Musk out of PayPal.
Basically, PayPal would be where all the money is. It would just suck all the money out of the banks, and the banks would go away.
And Jack has been very public about his admiration and respect for Elon. And in fact, he has invited Elon to multiple of his events and panels. So it looks like Jack is actually executing on that original vision from Elon Musk. And when you consider that PayPal has a market cap of 180 billion and Square only has a market cap of around 40 billion right now, there clearly is a lot of potential upside with taking market share from a company like PayPal. And actually, they have already begun doing just that, with Square's CashApp now dominating the PayPal-backed Venmo in many regards. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. We'll get into that a bit later in this video. So to really fully understand Square's business model, you have to divide them up into 2 main sections. So on one hand, they have their seller ecosystem, which is for businesses. And on the other hand, they also now have their infamous CashApp, which services individuals. So let's go over their legacy business first, which is their seller ecosystem, since as of right now, it's their biggest revenue driver by far, and it's how the business started in the first place. Now, I'm sure most of you guys have seen their small little card readers, because those little things are freaking awesome and they are pretty much found everywhere. Whether it's your favorite local restaurant, the bar down the street, or the trendy pop-up shop that charges you $120 for a white t-shirt. What you may not have realized though is that the beauty behind that little device that Square released now almost a decade ago was the fact that it was a game changer for small to medium-sized businesses, enabling them to have the power to accept credit card payments and become themselves a point-of-sale terminal just by connecting the device to their smartphones for a fraction of what competitors at the time were charging for their big, bulky, old school credit card readers. And so this is how Square was started and predominantly how they got that early traction going right away. And it still coincides very much so with their mission today, which is to help small and medium-sized businesses start, run, and grow their business, all with the ease and convenience of using one platform. By offering them a wide variety of services and tools to help sellers make better informed decisions through their analytics and reporting features, along with of course giving them the ability to accept payments and invoice their customers, and also they can use Square now to manage their inventory and payroll services so they can run their businesses seamlessly. And they are now even starting to offer business loans to give these small businesses the vital capital that they often need to expand and grow further. Now keep in mind that in the past, for sellers to get all these essential features in a software suite, they'd have to pay a massive amount of money that they of course could not afford. So it was only really ever an option for the massive, well-established businesses. Also, Square has a significant advantage over traditional banks when it comes to giving out loans. Because think about it this way, they have all of the data of these merchants' sales. So they are able to not only offer them better and more flexible rates, but also Square is much less likely to have loans defaulted on them because the merchant also uses them for payment processing. So it's a win-win for both parties involved. And so it's no surprise that their loan business, operating under the name Square Capital, is growing substantially, over 40% year over year, and they were just granted a license by the FDIC to offer loans directly to their customers instead of having to go through a third-party bank, which means they are cutting out the middleman so they can make even more profit per loan they give out. So expect massive upside from this side of their business alone. So it's really a one-stop shop that they have created here. So you shouldn't think of Square as just a payment company. They are much bigger than that. They are really a software company that monetizes through payments and subscriptions. And what they are doing for these small brick and mortar stores is actually very similar to what Shopify is doing for entrepreneurs online.
We think we can be the entrepreneurship company. While other companies are trying to build empires, we are arming the rebels. And honestly, the rebels are winning. I love it.
So let's get into Square's earnings that they just reported a few weeks ago. So to start, their total net revenue grew 51% year over year to $1.38 billion, which is excluding caviar, which is absolutely incredible. Very few companies can pull off that level of growth. And I also thought that Square's strategic move in selling their food delivery business Caviar to DoorDash for $410 million was a brilliant move, especially considering they only paid about $40 million for the business just 5 years ago. Plus, the margins in the food delivery business are absolutely cutthroat and razor thin. So it was not really worth it for them, in my opinion, to maintain this side of their business. Now, gross payment volume, which is the amount of sales that are processed on their platform, had been consistently always growing by 20 to 30+%, if not more, every year consistently. But with these most recent earnings, it fell significantly to around just 14% increase year over year. And this is because they were obviously impacted by the ongoing health issues and the stay-at-home orders that were put into place in several states all around the USA. And seeing this was really no surprise to me at all, because if you simply look at the majority of Square's merchants, a very large percentage of them are in the worst affected industries. It becomes clear as day when you just take a look at this graph, because industries like food and drink, retail, professional services, and even beauty and personal care make up more than 50% of Square's seller ecosystem. And all of those aforementioned businesses were directly impacted in a major way by the shelter-in-place orders that were enacted. So it's no surprise that growth for Q1 was only 14% to $25.7 billion, which is honestly not that bad, especially when considering everything that's going on. That's still pretty damn good. Also, even with all the crazy stuff going on in the world right now, they were still able to grow their gross profit 40% year over year to $539 million. And they've been growing at a 40 to 60% clip consistently now for a multitude of quarters in a row, which is extremely impressive. And a lot of this explosive growth for Square, lies in its subscription and service-based revenues, which contributed $256 million in gross profit, which is up 74% year over year, primarily driven by massive success of the Cash App, along with other services such as Square Capital. But the Cash App, in my opinion, is where the real gold lies, and it is the section of Square's business which entices me the most. And it is the biggest reason by far why I am so bullish on this stock, and without a doubt, it will be the primary growth driver for Square for many years to come. So let's get right into it. So with the Cash App, Square is building a financial ecosystem to help individuals manage their money. Now within the app, you can easily send and receive money for free, which is actually usually how they acquire customers, by peer-to-peer. Which simply means, let's say you're at a bar with your friends and you need to send money to one person who's gonna pay the bill on their card. You can simply download the app and then send your friend the money. But that's just the beginning. From there, you can get a physical card delivered to you, which kind of acts like a debit card. So you can start using it in stores. And then you might start taking advantage of their boost features, which are kind of like credit card rewards in a sense. And then once they got you happy and inside of their ecosystem, you might want to start direct depositing your payroll straight into your cash account. And eventually you may want to buy and sell stocks or even cryptocurrency, all done within their app. So as you can see, they often get you inside the door through peer-to-peer means, but then they keep you in the Square ecosystem by seamlessly offering you a wide variety of financial services so that you don't really ever have to go anywhere else to get something done. And thus, there's no real reason to ever even think about taking your money out of their system, which is really the vision that Elon Musk had all along for PayPal way back in the day. And a lot of these services, such as cryptocurrency, really attracts the younger demographic, which is indeed their primary target customer base of 15 to 35 years old. So don't be surprised at all if Square starts to take a large chunk of this demographic from the legacy banks, especially as Square continues to innovate and make banks seem more and more unnecessary to more and more people. Not to mention that with many banks now being closed due to the pandemic, some people have no other options but to utilize services such as the Cash App for their financial needs. And what better way to stop the spread of germs than to do away with cash? Which, when you think about it, is probably one of the dirtiest things on this planet because it passes from so many hands. And there is no question in my mind that contactless transactions is the future. Now, let's talk numbers. At the end of 2017, the Cash App had grown from just 7 million monthly active users to over 24 million monthly active users at the end of 2019. So more than tripling in just 3 years. And even more impressive to me is that they doubled their revenue per active user from just $15 to over $30 in the same time span, which is phenomenal, especially considering how fast they are growing. That's not easy to pull off. Now, these numbers are already staggering, but when you add in the fact that in March of this year, the Cash App added its largest number ever of new active customers, and their app was downloaded over 2 million times. And keep in mind that these numbers are just inside the iOS App Store alone, where the Cash App is frequently found within the top 10 most popular apps of all time, which is just incredible when you consider how many millions of apps there are out there in the world. So it goes without having to say that the Cash App is experiencing absolutely explosive growth, and it's already surpassed its main competitor, which is the PayPal-backed Venmo, in terms of monthly active users, despite Venmo having the first mover advantage. And this is why I am so bullish on this stock, because imagine in a couple of years, once they grow that number from 24 million monthly active users to, let's say, 100 million monthly active users. And on top of that, maybe they're able to increase that revenue per active user from 30 to, let's say, 50 or even $60. Now that's when we can start talking about Square having a market cap of $150 billion or even $200+ billion. And I'm extremely confident that they'll be able to maintain this level of growth for many years to come, not only on word of mouth alone, but also because their marketing strategy is absolutely genius, which is twofold. One, they are targeting primarily US's most unbanked regions, which just makes sense because it's serving a massive need in the market. And then 2, they've become an absolute viral success on social media, particularly on Twitter, which hey, I guess it helps to own one of the biggest social networks in the whole world. By using the CashApp Friday hashtag, where they literally started just giving away free money, that alone brings them countless new downloads every single week and has introduced millions of new users to their platform. Not to mention their countless partnerships with many of the most popular Twitch streamers. Now, of course, this all sounds amazing and beautiful, but like with every other company out there, it's not all rainbows and sunshines. So taking a position in Square does come with multiple risks that you have to factor into your decision-making process. So firstly, obviously Q1 results were slightly impacted by the stay-in-place orders, but that only impacted them for maybe 2 to 4 weeks max. So just imagine what could possibly happen when they report their Q2 earnings. I'm expecting those earnings to be significantly worse than Q1 was. That is for sure. Secondly, net income in Q1 was significantly negatively impacted by everything going on, and they had lost over $100 million. Now, a large part of that is for reserves for loans that they believe are going to be defaulted on because many merchants simply won't be able to pay them back. And so expect this number to also be higher in Q2. And finally, Square does need to constantly be innovating and staying ahead of all the products and marketing curves that are to come. Because just like PayPal fell behind to the momentum of CashApp, the same could happen to Square when it comes to future competitors. So with that in mind, they have to stay sharp, but also keeping ahead of the competition will likely be a costly process, as the company's current promotion strategies have been proven to be so far, like giving away free money on Twitter. But now with all that being said, I am still extremely bullish on Square for the long term, and this is a stock that I definitely plan to hold for at least the next 5 to 10 years. And I have an extreme amount of conviction in top management and especially in Jack, that they will be able to continue to execute on the vision and continue to maintain a high growth rate for the company. And for the people that are considering buying into this stock and wondering when would be the best time to buy in, I recommend keeping an eye out for Q2 earnings because there is a good chance that the stock could dip, especially if they report worse than expected news, which is definitely possible because of the whole pandemic that is still ongoing. But then again, you never know because honestly, that bad news might already be priced in. So you might want to start buying a few shares now, just in case that it doesn't ever dip below these numbers again. So anyways, those are my thoughts on Square, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment sections below. Do you currently own any shares of Square, or are you considering buying some shares? Do you think the stock will go up or down? Either way, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And as always, I reply to every single comment, and thank you so much for all the love you guys have been giving me on all my past videos. I appreciate all of you, and if you got value from this video, please consider smashing that thumbs up button. It really does help the channel grow. And also consider subscribing as I release new videos every single week. But either way, thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful week. Peace.